Deion Sanders is the favorite to land the Cowboys job in 2025, and that is before we even know what the hell the Jerry Jones is going to do about Mike McCarthy. But I got to tell y'all, off the rip, it feels like we're playing fantasy football all of a sudden once again, but not that much of a fantasy, because you'll know that the last time the Dallas Cowboys won a damn Super Bowl was 1995. I was 8 years old, dog. It hit me once again as a Dallas Cowboys fan just how sorry we done been for the better part of 29 years of my life here on this planet. And I was bequeathed these Dallas Cowboys because, I grew up in a family. We in the South. We in Mississippi. And we not going to root for no damn Falcons. The Jacksonville Jaguars, not really a thing. We got the Dallas Cowboys because we got Michael Irvin, we got Troy Aikman, we got Emmitt Smith, and we got primetime Deion Sanders because Jerry Jones engineered a trade that got Prime to the Dallas Cowboys with Barry Switch as the head coach. And it's last time that Jerry Jones looked like he made a shrewd move for the first time. Jerry's never going to give up the general managing duties. We know this. He's going to pick the team. He's going to pick the head coach. It's his team. It's one of the reasons why I think I talk so much about college football is it feels like we got some sway over there with some boosters and stuff, but that's Jerry's team, which means I got to watch Jerry's team be booty and trash. And I was carrying Dak Prescott water for so long, I gave it up last year. And now the boy can't even play. Y'all done seen enough Cooper Rush. Y'all done seen enough Trey Lance. CD out there just kind of flying around. Micah Parsons saying all the wrong things. It ain't like we ain't got dudes. It ain't like we ain't never had dudes. It's getting the right dude at the right time to coach that team to a damn Super Bowl. Because you get a team that I thought was really good and we get waylaid, destroyed by Jordan Love. So yeah, primetime has been floated as the next head coach for the Dallas Cowboys if Jerry Jones decides to move off of Mike McCarthy. I don't know why he wouldn't decide to move off of Mike McCarthy, but it's Jerry Jones, right, who toasted that man over Johnny Walker Black, or Johnny Walker Blue. Not black, Johnny Walker Blue, the Jerry kind, the expensive kind, right? And Jerry had been out here defending himself in ways that I just don't think he needs to defend himself, talking about, 105.3, what he going to do and what he's not going to do, and even going at the sun coming through the stadium that's been there for some time. Everything is being picked apart when you're losing. That's the thing. Everything is okay when you win. This is even true at Colorado, right, where Prime had a 4-8 season. I and others didn't think this was going to be that much better. We was wrong. Now, I just got done talking even yesterday about how they can win a national championship, and I do believe they can win a national championship. They win the next 7 games in a row, that's theirs. The thing about the whole Colorado to Cowboys thing that makes it interesting is that Shedeur Sanders is going into the NFL draft. You know that Dallas needs a quarterback. You know that Dallas is overpaid for a quarterback. You know that you probably need to bust this down to the studs and trade all these dudes and start over. That means trade Dak. That means trade my beloved CD, my beloved Micah. You gotta let a lot of this go. And then you got to rebuild this thing from the ground up with a coach that, frankly, is going to give you a lot of gravitas and going to put you back in the black in a very real way. Pun intended. I would love to see Deion Sanders as Dallas Cowboys head coach. I don't know that it's going to happen, though. But then again, when he was at Jackson State, the whole Colorado thing didn't look like it was coming together until it did, right? At Jackson State, he went 27-6, and it felt for all the world like he was going to be waiting on a bigger job, right? But not necessarily a mid-level bigger job. A mid-level bigger job being, a booty power 5 team at the time. And he took over a booty power 5 team, and he has made that team into one of the 18 best in the college football playoff rankings, we think, right? We think, if based on AP. They're number 20 right now. I expect them to go up. I don't know how far they're going to go up, but I would not be shocked to see them in the 15 to 18 range. You also need to take into account here that it ain't as if you can't move off of Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, maybe get to keep Micah. I don't know. That'd be kind of cool. And you go get Travis Hunter, and you go get Shedeur. And all of a sudden, there's hope for this franchise because you have a man who has taken NFL pedigree and NFL principles to college and been able to do that. The thing about Prime, though, is he has, I think, come to understand just what it means to be a college football head coach versus an NFL head coach. In college, you make the rules, dog. You want to box people out in media. You want to box people out. And as far as access to your program, you can do all those things. You have control. You have less control than you used to, right? When national letter of intent was a big deal, transfer portal was not real, name, image, and likeness was not real. But I think that Prime was always uniquely positioned to take advantage of those things. I think that Prime was always going to be in a spot where he could talk to people about marketing. He could talk to people about what players are getting paid and why they're getting paid. And he can coach the new breed of athlete like Travis Hunter, who's going, hey, whatever Travis want to do, I'm going to let him do. There isn't another football coach in the world who is going to let a player of Travis Hunter's caliber go both ways for an entire season. Not once, but twice. And he trusts that dude to tell him when he's tired or when he's not. And they have been strategic about, say, pulling him in the second half of the Arizona game where they don't really need him, right? Taking care of him when it feels like his shoulder might, explode. All of a sudden, he back to playing at a high level. And he has been so important to winning. He is the Heisman Trophy winner as far as I'm concerned. They win the Big 12 championship and they make the college football playoff. It's going to be really difficult for the Dallas Cowboys to not want to go get Deion Sanders. I don't think it's going to be real difficult for a lot of people to not want to go get Deion Sanders, not just at Dallas, but in college. I think the reason that Dallas makes sense is he's got history there, right? We all know that history. We all know what he means to Dallas Cowboys football. And we also know that Texas is home for him, particularly the DFW area. That man comes up to Potter's house. The man comes up under Bishop Jakes at one point, right? Really turned his life around in Dallas. He loves the place. He loves Texas. He loves that spot. There was a moment when I thought Texas Christian would have been smart to go get him, and they didn't. They let Colorado swoop in there, and it turns out to be one of the shrewdest moves that Rick George has ever made and might ever make. And I think the same could be true for Jerry Jones if he is brave enough to take this chance and overpay to get Prime up out of Colorado. Because now that he got that thing going in the direction that he wants it to go, when he was saying against Oregon, when they got beat down, he's like, you better get me right now because this is as bad as we ever going to be. Turned out to look a lot like that's true. What if you bring that energy to America's team? What if you bring that energy to the most popular football team in all the world? Even when the Dallas Cowboys is booty and garbage and trash, everybody want to talk about them. Even folks that hate the Dallas Cowboys got to have the Dallas Cowboys coming up out their mouth. They got to, right? I think Prime can lean into all of that. Now that he got this new show over there on Tubi where he's doing a talk show, he gets to travel with that. I'm sure Jerry would be open to all of this in a way that some owners would not. Like, I can't see Deion Sanders going to coach the New York Jets, for instance, because Woody Johnson just got a little bit too much to say about what's going on over there. Same thing with David Tepper at Carolina. But Jerry, knowing Prime like he knows him, and Prime knowing Jerry like he knows him, I think that relationship would be pretty damn good. And they would be able to pick each other up. Like, you'll notice that Jerry Jones has been very good about making sure that we always talk about the Dallas Cowboys, even when the Dallas Cowboys are bad, because Jerry Jones is as good a marketing agent as Prime is. Think about this. Jerry Jones bought the Dallas Cowboys after wildcatting. You know what wildcatting is? Of course not. You from the East Coast. Wildcatting is where you go around Oklahoma, Texas, parts of Arkansas used to be, parts of Louisiana, and you drill holes in the ground hoping to strike oil. That's it. That's the whole game. And he drilled enough holes to where he struck enough oil and had enough money to buy the Dallas Cowboys at what now feels like bargain basement price and really put his imprint over the top of it and got them running right away with Jimmy Johnson, making all the shrewd moves and pulling off what we still think is the greatest trade in all of history, sending Herschel Walker to the Vikings for everybody else that he was going to get that turned out to be Super Bowl winning teams. That particular move, along with Fox getting into NFL and driving up prices and popularity of the NFL as a must-see event in this country, becoming the national pastime, the national sport, overtaking baseball, helped the rise of Dallas Cowboys in the 90s, because when you talk about from basically 1990 to 1997, you're talking about the Dallas Cowboys. What are they going to do? Like, we talked about Jerry Rice and the Niners. We talked about Brett Favre and the Green Bay Packers, but we was always going to be talking about the Dallas Cowboys. I also think that he knows what it is to now take over two different programs and flip them into winners, two different bad programs and flip them into winners. Jackson State was not good when Deion Sanders got to Jackson State. When he left, swag, that's theirs. They own it, right? Along with the intention of the country. Moves to Colorado, same thing, right? And his particular way of belief and willingness to do it his way have paid off. I think marrying him with a guy like Jerry Jones is just that, man. I might have to be doing Dallas Cowboys segments because it's my team. Like, the way that I like Oklahoma ain't exactly the way I like the Dallas Cowboys. But when I am watching the NFL, I am watching the Dallas Cowboys, and they are breaking my damn heart most weeks. Like that 34-6, whatever, to the damn Eagles. I hate the Eagles, man. At home, with Saquon out there doing whatever he want, Jalen getting in people's faces, and it felt like CD wasn't even in that game, and I don't blame him. Cooper Rush is Cooper Rush. You don't even have a competent backup because Trey Lance is supposed to be the future, but don't nobody trust that boy. I think if you're going to do this, do it as soon as you can. But if Prime is got this thing humming in the playoffs, you're going to have to hold your water. And I think Jerry would. I think if Jerry had an understanding that when the season ends, Prime would give this his full attention and he would take him on his word to let it cook, there's a real chance for Jerry Jones to go get Deion Sanders, but it's really about whether or not Deion Sanders wants to coach the Dallas Cowboys or what he wants to do at Colorado. And this also puts the future of Colorado in flux, as it would anybody, but in a particular way, right? Because you know that this is your best chance to win a championship that you've had since leaving Jackson State. You know that Shedeur is probably going to get drafted in the first round. You know that Travis is going to get drafted in the first round. But you've also got Julian Lewis, who missed going to Indiana on a visit, is USC committed, but it felt for all the world like he's ready to flip, ready to go to Boulder. And I'm sure he's watching this going, all right, coach, what you going to do? Because I gotta reevaluate where I'm going to be too. Not to say nothing. Colorado's not Colorado without Prime. And that's, I think, the part of this that is really interesting. Colorado's identity is tied to Deion Sanders' identity, to his ability to market the program, to what Bucky can provide behind a camera, to what Uncle Neely can provide behind the camera and in commentary. There's so much going on in that program that has led to everybody seeing them all the time. That starts with the funnel at the top that is Prime sitting down at a presser and making news. Making news with what he is going to say and how he is going to say it. There aren't a whole lot of football coaches in the world that have that ability. I would point back to last March when Prime was on late night television promoting his book in the offseason. I have never seen a sitting football coach get that level of attention for anything he has done in the offseason. It is hard to get booked on anybody's late night broadcast TV show, CBS, NBC, whatever. It's difficult. And yet he was the only dude in the world that could pull such a thing off because there is no one like Prime. It is singular. It is divisible by one in itself. I'm going to tell you once again because I think it's just wild. The man played as a walk-on his last year at Florida State, which means that he basically invents what we know of as name, image, and likeness. George Steinbrenner said, I'm going to pay you a bunch of money to sign with the New York Yankees right now because you're that great a baseball player. And he took the money because, A, he was already going to play professionally something after Florida State. So he gets to walk on at Florida State, enroll in classes, not go to classes. And at one point, I love this because I read this in his book from maybe 25 years ago. Bobby Bowden is going, all right, I'm getting a lot of stories about how y'all not going to class, all right? Raise your hand if you ain't been going to class. And Deion Sanders was the only dude to raise his hand. And he said, you know damn well I'm not talking to you, Deion. He raised his hand because he walked on and he wasn't planning to graduate. Like, what he got to get enrolled in classes for? He going to the league. He goes to the league, and then not only that, he says, hey, I'm not taking no visits or calls from anybody outside the top 10 because I'm not going to be there. Why would I talk to somebody that ain't got a pick in the top 5? You know what I'm saying? Like, what we got to talk about? The weather? And then it goes the way he thinks it's going to go. And he has changed every single team he's been a part of. Falcons, right? Florida State, 49ers, the damn Yankees. Like, that's the part that the Braves. The part that I love is that Prime is the only person in the world who's played in the World Series and in the Super Bowl. And he's got a ring twice over in the NFL, but he also has this real begrudging respect for baseball that a lot of professionals do. He would say, hey, look, on a football field, you get prime time. You get Neon Deion. On a baseball diamond, you just get Deion. because hitting that baseball is hard. And I'm like, yeah, dog, hitting that baseball is one of the hardest things to do on earth. It's a game of failure. You hit 300, you've hit 30% of the pitch of your at-bats, right? You get on base 30% of the time. You're doing pretty good, right? Nobody likes that. It really is about how often are you going to fail and how good at failing are you. Well, Prime is not in this to fail. He is in this to succeed at a level unforeseen and at a level that only he could imagine, frankly. Like, before he gets to Colorado, nobody thinks Colorado's going to be playing for no national championship. Now, people got to consider it. They have to, because they also have to acknowledge this team can win the Big 12 championship. That's what you are trying to get if you're Jerry Jones. That's what you're trying to get if you are rooting for the Dallas Cowboys to pick up Deion Sanders. I, for one, have had a great time talking about what Coach Prime has done for the sport, both good and bad. I call it like I see it every single time, right? There are things that he has done that I don't agree with, and there are things that he has done that I absolutely love. Making this move is really going to tell us a lot about what he wants for himself and how important it is for him to keep coaching his son. And he treats Travis like a son since we're here. Shiloh also going to be going to the NFL. There's an opportunity for the entire group, right? For Prime, Shedeur, Travis, Shiloh, and Bucky to pick up from Boulder and go to Dallas to lead the Dallas Cowboys. If you are as about your money and about your standing as Prime seems to be, I don't know that there's a better opportunity in the world. There is nothing else better to do than to go to the Dallas Cowboys. No matter what you accomplish at Colorado, you win a national championship at Colorado, everybody's going to wish you well for whatever it is you want to do. But nobody's going to say you'd be crazy to leave this job in the way that they say that's about Oklahoma, or they say that about Alabama, or they say that about LSU or Ohio State. Real Yankees jobs in our sport, they pale in comparison to being the head coach for the Dallas Cowboys. Also speaks volumes that he's the guy that people are considering the favorite when we know Kurt Cignetti's at Indiana making it happen in a way that nobody has ever happened in history. We know that Ryan Day is one of the winningest coaches in all of football. We know that Kirby Smart is one of the best coaches to ever live. We know that Nick Saban is just kind of lying there in the cut. Maybe he would like to coach Dallas Cowboys. Bill Belichick, doing all these different jobs, probably wants to get back into coaching in the NFL. And yet we're talking about Prime, a dude who has never coached at the NFL level, and a dude who, until got to Jackson State, had never even been a head coach. That's wild. And that story is cool. And I would like to see where that story goes if he decides, or I should say, if Jerry Jones decides to offer him the job and then he decides to accept it. A lot of things to unpack there, a lot of things to continue talking about, but I did want to do this segment because, well, I'm excited about it, and I think you should be too.